welcome.
Thank you.
Today, this is our first of what we hope will be a series of podcasts that we do with individuals about news in Pine Bluff. So our first person that we want to talk to is Ryan Watley. He's with us today. Thank you for agreeing to sit down with us. And I say us because Miss Golden is in the room as well, and she actually covers a lot of Go Forward Pine Bluff, and Mr. Watley is the CEO of that. I've got a series of questions here. Some of them are, just like the first one is just give us the elevator explanation of Go Forward Pine Bluff, just for the benefit of readers that may have forgotten. So tell us a little about Go Forward Pine Bluff.
So again, thanks for having me. Go Forward Pine Bluff was necessary in 2000. Well, a plan was necessary in 2015 because of the overall conditions that were plaguing the city at the time. There were bricks in the street, school districts under state control. We had a hotel downtown that was surrounded or in a host for criminal activity, prostitution, drug transaction next to our convention center. And so, convention center was struggling to get business and going downhill. A lot of the revenue, and still is to some part, are derived directly from A&P. But some of that has decreased with the exception of expenses incurred by improvements. You had, at that time, it was listed over 450 condemned properties throughout the city, coupled with absentee ownership of so many. And there was just no plan in place to necessarily deal with that. The city at one point worked with the Department of Corrections, but that did not work well because of asbestos and things of that nature. So that was halted. And I'll probably go on and on about the conditions which necessitated an overall plan to address this. So that was around 2015. From my understanding, Mr. Mackers and some other leaders got together to talk about what could be done. And fast forward to 2016 is when the planning phase began, whereby citizens came together, over 6,000 hours of work, meeting around the clock, around the year, and Go Forward Pine Bluff, the brochure, which contained the 26 initiatives, was released. As in the past, there have been plans and there have been no source of funding, and so they sat on the shelf. And so they had the great idea to see if, since we had so much community buy-in from the planning, could we ask the citizens to invest in this plan themselves? And we promised to raise, in addition, about $19 million to help through private funds to help run the organization and invest in education, and really all those things that the tax could not support legally. That's where the private funds were coming in at. So we passed, and to date, we've been thrown for a whirlwind with COVID, and we had to really, we're on a 7-year time frame, and we were rocking and rolling years one, I think the first year and a half, and we got to 2020 or the end of 2019, and COVID set in, and we had to adjust there. But I'm proud to say our team, in-house of myself, Mildred, Franco, Lee, Cockrum, Owen Mauser is part-time, and we have an intern now, Christiana Barnes, female, and the people throughout the city that we partner with, Ms. Urban Renewal Agency, et cetera. Together, we've been able to either jumpstart or complete 92% of those 26 initiatives. And that's very encouraging for them not to just be sitting dormant.
Okay. I should mention, full disclosure, when I was publisher of the Pine Bluff Commercial, I was also publisher. I was also editor at the time, but I was served on one of the committees.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
For a period of time. And then and then there was, I didn't finish it out, but for disclosure, I was involved. I was asked to be on a committee. I was on the education committee there for a while. In broad strokes, how much money has been raised through tax dollars and how much money has been raised from private sources to date?
Broad stroke, this is what, year 4? So around anywhere between 18 million, 20 million. What we've seen is
Tax dollars?
An increase in tax receipts each year, which is encouraging. We started out year 1 anticipating that the tax will bring in around 4.3. We're up to about 4.8 now, 4.7, but we still budget each year to be around 4.6 just to be conservative on our approach. We put out concerning the private funds, I think we did an ad in the commercial. About $12 million has been raised in terms of private funds, and that is in the form of money that goes directly to support the human resources and Go Forward Pine Bluff. But also, we count all investments, for example, that are made, again, for example, the First Responders Program. So the tax provides the first responders up to $10,000, whether they to buy a home or do home repair. And if they buy a home, let's say that they buy a $100,000 home, well, that's an investment made in Pine Bluff that would leverage the tax. So we count that in that number. And we've had about 15 people to participate in that process.
Okay.
So I just want people to have an understanding of the investments and how that number has gotten to 12 million. And also with the Alice program, we'll be counting that. That number does not include that, but we'll be doing an accounting of all of these things presented to the citizens. But besides those types of investments through grants, and again, because of the tax was able to hire a grant writer. And that grant writer has brought in millions of dollars, so we count that as part. Yeah, we count that as part of, and that grant writer is paid directly from the Go Forward Pine Bluff tax. Okay. So we again list those things.
So you're on track with your private.
Yes. Yes, sir. We were. If we. We're hoping to close a deal on this housing subdivision downtown, multifamily, and that's going to be like $12 million. We have some other investments around town, the go-kart track thing, and I don't have an estimation on that yet, but we do these projects, the major ones, even with retrofitting of these buildings, we will supersede our goal not to do.
Go-kart tracks, that was not on my list, but since you brought it up, why would a city, why would a Go Forward Pine Bluff entity put up money for a private venture like that?
Yeah, so that is a great question. And I think the question may be born out of misunderstanding of what we're doing. So we are in partnership trying to bring private investment in. So in terms of the go-kart track, what we're doing, we've acquired the land. We will demo the process. And maybe in partnership because of the partner, that private person will help demo the building. These are opportunities we're talking about to partner to get this done. But the reason why is that our market just does not support that independently, whereby or I don't say it's supporting, the risk may be too high for an independent operator to say, I'm going to move to Pine Bluff and I'm going to open up a family fund center. That risk is perceived to be too high for some. So what we're able to do with the tax is reduce that risk and make it more palatable or inviting for an operator to invest that money. So if someone had to come in, take that real estate, remove the asbestos, which has been done, I think it was about $250,000, demo the site, then they had to acquire the site. That is a tall hill to climb. And so we have lowered that barrier and have a local operator who wants to help construct and pay for it.
Okay. Is that similar to now that we're on that subject, the old Walmart building at the mall? Mm-hmm. A guy was going to come in, it was his own money at first, and then he wanted the urban renewal to pony up quite a bit. Yes. Then it went back to him, but I think he just drifted away?
That's a good question. No, actually, movie theaters are tough right now with COVID. We even saw that they aren't releasing a lot of movies, but I think that's coming back on board. And from my understanding, they're holding a lot of movies back until conditions improve environmentally. But surprisingly, maybe 3 weeks ago, a month ago, the gentleman had sent an appraisal down because he actually acquired the Walmart building for about $450,000, and we were so pleased with that.
He's bought the building.
Yeah, he owns the building. And
that's the guy from Oklahoma or New Mexico.
Correct. He has sites in those locations. And so he had appraisal down, a month ago, and he's actively still trying to seek financing for that. And we must have a movie theater in Pine Bluff. It is people don't understand, or people should understand the linchpin that is. If someone's going to go out for a movie, they're going to go to dinner, they might buy some clothes, etc., to see this new blockbuster movie. And when you don't have that, that shifts a lot of economic activity away from you. And we need that in Pine Bluff.
Yeah, when you have a city of give or take 40,000 people.
It is unheard of.
And you say, but you can't go see a movie in town. And people just look at you like they didn't hear you right.
So that is why he came to Pine Bluff. He said, where in America do you have this many people? Not only just 40,000, but the trade area.
Right.
You're talking about close to 80,000 people from Dumas and all that. You don't have a top tier movie experience in the region. He said that we're going to Pine Bluff, and that's going to be my number one location in our footprint.
That's good.
And he said that, and so that's why he's adamant about it. I'm so thankful for that gentleman. He has stuck with us through all of this. And then when it acquired that building, so legally, whatever the tax can, we're going to work with the city council to do to support him. We must do that.
Somewhere along the way, we had heard that he wasn't returning phone calls, which I was.
Yeah, at one while he didn't, and he told me, he said he just got frustrated with the whole process. He did. But we spoke with him, and I personally met the appraiser over at the Walmart building to see that.
Okay. There have been multiple efforts by the council to siphon off funding or further control your efforts on how you can spend your money. How has that affected your operation?
It has been a significant blow to our small organization. Like I said, we're really 3 full-time people and really only 2 that deal with Go Forward Pine Bluff initiative specifically. We're so thankful for Ms. Griffin, who carries a lion's share in that organization, who carries a lot of weight in moving things along. But when situations like that happen, we have to stop whatever we're doing and try to, correct the misinformation that's being put out. We have to prepare a plan to work on a proposal to present to the council about this is what will happen if you do that. It's almost like we have to start over each time with explaining what Go Forward Pine Bluff is, why the citizens voted for it, bring newspaper articles. It is very taxing on us. And it has really kept, I talk about 92%. Imagine where we'll be with no COVID and without those things. I mean, that, and also, there have been efforts to stall some of the deliverables. We're on a tight timeline and sending us through a lot of unnecessary paperwork, unnecessary meetings, going around in a circle just to get back here. Again, that has really hurt the process, and we could be much farther along than we are.
Now, right now, you've got all your money.
Yes.
And you don't, the effort to control how you spend it didn't go through.
No, it did not go through, but the council does control.
Right.
There was going to be an additional layer and an additional layer. And, we see that as, we've done nothing. Again, and part of that, I understand Alderman Lockett's, concern about acquisition of hotels and things of that nature. But we are proud of what we did downtown with acquiring the Plaza Hotel because there's a plan to try to get a new Marriott there. But the reason why we're proud because you have an aquatic center, you have your historic civic hall there, and you have prostitution. A person got murdered in the front. You had just a dilapidated hotel still servicing citizens or visitors in the heart of your city. And we stopped that. We literally stopped it.
You think people forget that?
I do. I think they forget that. And I knew the gentleman that actually got killed in front of us, in front of the place, and that was just disheartening. But you had big parties going on in there. The place was unsafe for them to even be in there. And so that's not what we represent for our convention center hotel. You know, a new Marriott that has an opportunity to serve now, or our softball tournaments from Regional Park, it's back up the park through the Storm, our golf tournaments through Harbor Oaks, our fishing tournaments that will happen, concerts, people coming in to do baseball at Taylor Field, the University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff. We currently, I told them we currently have football teams that stay in Little Rock during the UAPB season.
Yeah,
and they eat there because they need a full service hotel. We don't have that. We're missing out on so many conventions, tournaments at the Aquatic Center. So this thing, a business model is there for this to work, especially if you reduce the footprint. And I'm excited. That's one of the key things that could happen for Pine Bluff is to get a new Marriott and a facelift, more improvements to the convention center to bring the Delta back to Pine Bluff for a convention.
You're talking about a new Marriott at the Plaza Hotel.
That is what has been proposed. And actually there's a meeting this week to try to close the financial gap where some things may be. But I'm excited about people going to work, and I hope the council will support it.
They were doing a feasibility study. Should we fix this thing up, or should we tear it down and start over? Have we moved beyond that point?
Yes. So that's really more of the feasibility study is more of an informational for you, so you can make an informed decision. They don't necessarily tell you yes or no. They'll tell you what it's going to take to meet your bottom line, and they'll tell you what size hotel that you should or should not consider, and that's how the 125 came up. And they'll tell you again about the finances. So from a financial standpoint, once you begin moving sheetrock and all taking it down, you don't know what you're necessarily going to find in that building. But more so, they said that the open atrium from heating and cooling is just not sufficient or efficient, and it would be better just to have none.
You know, the casino says that they're going to break ground this year on a 300-room hotel with some other amenities. Is that too many hotel rooms
for the casino?
In Pine Bluff?
For both entities at it? No, it's not. And I'll tell you why. Everything that I just mentioned in terms of opportunities to business opportunities at the downtown hotel, those are kind of family-centered, educational, conventional deals. That's a different market than what the casino will host. And so there's a lot of opportunities. You're not going to bring an aquatics tournament with 10 to 12-year-olds and they stay at the casino. And we could do one of those every month. It's indoor. You can host one of those. And you're not going to have a girls softball tournament at Regional Park and they stay. So you get the point there. And also, I made this point just this week to someone. I said, we have to learn to stop devaluing our community. And what I meant by they asked about the hotel, this very scenario, I said, if someone today went and built a meeting room attached to one of the hotels in Whitehall, you will say that was a great idea. Wow. You'll say the same thing. Yeah. But when we begin to build this, but you're questioning this in this situation. I said, we have to stop that immediately. And, the funny thing about it, that I just said, I hold myself accountable. I said, Rising was trying to pass a millage, and they were going to make their gym as such so they could host tournaments.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, what are we doing even questioning what we have? The same thing with Sheridan. They built that new facility. They hosted the 5A South tournament. Right. And they only have a hotel.
That's an amazing facility.
It is. So we have to make the investments. And to your other questions, until we make the market better or attract investors with the capital to do it independently, this is where we are. And I think we've done a good job of being very conservative. You know, some of the council members, you know, they tend to use very inflammatory words such as, you know, they'll say we spent just arbitrary $1 million on land, but they won't tell you we bought 700 acres. You know, they won't make that equivalent. They only do that to just say, and then the public's like, they spent $1 million. Why would they do that? For example, with the downtown property, we bought 6.5 acres and several buildings, and we spent $700,000 on it. And now we have control of that to begin to implement the downtown plan.
That was actually one of my questions. I can jump ahead.
Yeah.
Ivan Whitfield, Councilmember Ivan Whitfield, at a political forum was asked about this and said, will you continue basically to push back on the Go Forward agenda? And he said he would not change his vote. He said he voted against Go Forward buying. And he mentioned a couple of hotel spaces. And I think his number was $500,000 on one that they've torn it down and now it's just vacant land. Is that the kind of...
So, yeah, similar, but that's not directly what he said. He said, I don't know if he got the numbers right, but those are the actions that we've done.
Yeah.
And he's talking about the land right across the street, the Kroger. So all of that is owned by a renewal agency, which we're in partnership with. But it's also the site for the investment with multifamily housing that is essential to create density in downtown Pine Bluff, so whereby we can fill the businesses on Main Street.
Right.
Absent Argenta learned that North Boulevard, they learned that the hard way. They put the businesses there without the density, and many of them failed. So now they added housing, and they're stabilized now. They're seeing more investments.
That's a hot area.
Yep. Even Torrey Hunter, our native, we decided to invest there. That's someone with capital that we want to contribute, work on, and get them in Pine Bluff to open up another business that he may have interest in. So we have to get that density.
Has anything progressed on the multifamily housing downtown? I know there was like an investor and
we had a group, as a matter of fact, last renewal agency meeting, they entered into a short-term lease with a group to start begin to get permitting and surveys and et cetera that will serve as part of their financial package to submit to a bank. We are hoping that we have something established within the next 60 days in terms of an approval of their financing. That's what's key about this. We enter into these agreements with people, but in terms of supporting a private venture, we can't do that to public dollars. But we can do some expenses such as soft costs, infrastructure investments, but we don't do any of that until that person has been securely approved for their financial contribution by an institution. So we've been on hold. And so that's why, the projects haven't happened, but they're on the way. Especially when I thank the council for voting to allocate that $6 million for what we had. And that's another thing that wasn't brought out in all of that. That was, I think, 6 or 8, I can't remember. $8 million sitting in the sales tax account. And that's because we have not frivolously spent the money. It's been sitting there for these projects all this time. And that was never brought out in that conversation. And so I'm glad we have a good team that is very judicious over the money. And as I told them, guys, honestly, it's not enough money. That's a large, substantial amount of money that can do a lot of things. But it's really not enough money to do with the challenges that we have. So we must have a private partner. You recall I said the housing development is about $10 to $12 million, trying to reduce the cost. That's one project that won't even cover that. So we are trying to do our best to put these infrastructure investments in and develop these soft costs that investors can take advantage of.
Okay. ePlatus did a series of stories, a three-part series of stories a while back. And in one of them, the rationale that one council member used for wanting to take Go Forward money and put it to other purposes was that people in his ward hadn't understood or didn't understand the goals of Go Forward Pine Bluff. We thought it was going to be for the whole city. We still have ditches. We still have blight. What have you done for us? And what do you say to those people?
Well, one, everyone did understand it because it passed in every ward by the vote. It absolutely passed in every ward. And for people did not just go vote for something that they knew nothing about. They would have not voted at all. So they were informed. It was enough people in the ward to vote for than against. And so we said we had a keen focus in the heart of the city, downtown. We expressed that, and we talked about blight removal, which we've been doing. The key is that Go Forward Pine Bluff is not the savior of Pine Bluff. It is just a public-private partnership. And this tax is not enough money to deal with all the issues.
It's not a penny, right?
It's a 5/8.
5/8, yeah.
And so what we have been doing through leadership at City Hall is code enforcement has ramped up their efforts in places that the urban renewal area is not focused on. And you are able to get a response from code enforcement when you call and they begin their process of remediating blight. So that's our opportunity to touch areas that are not in the heart of downtown. But notice one key point. Nothing has come out of the ground yet in terms of construction. We'll go for Pine Bluff in this whole deal. That's what we're in the phase now. This is a big year to try to get more houses built, like through our Alice program, the projects downtown, new businesses opening, restaurants. And so that's where we are. And we're on time crunch, but we want to be held accountable for what we've done so far. We feel proud about that. We are very transparent. We want people to understand and know our process. So if there is, a better route to take, we want people to pick up the phone and call us and tell us, have you considered certain things? We do have research-based approaches that we operate in, but again, we need innovation here in terms of the way we're doing things, and we put those on the table as well. So, I just say that everyone understood, and there is a benefit to everyone because the mission is to increase the revenue of the city through sales tax, et cetera. And so if we're able to do that, then no matter where it is, when you have an issue on whatever side of town you live in, the city can respond because they're seeing an increase in revenue. And eventually, if we continue to go down these 7-year cycles, we will get to your area. But right now, you're benefiting because of economic activity taking place regardless. Well, and lastly, I'll let you ask the next question. If we don't have the private side come in, this is a regressive tax. So we must have the private coupled with the public to advance the city. So that is very key. And we're going to have to see if we can be successful with that. We've had some private investment, but we need larger ones.
Speaking of that, you bought 3 buildings down there. Well, you fixed up 3 of those buildings. You now own several more, but and so you have stabilized the building and you have remodeled the inside to such an extent that somebody could come in there and without too much of a hurdle, start something.
Correct.
And you've had some nibbles. What's the status of those buildings?
So right now, those 3 particular ones.
Yes. I guess those would be the nearest to.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
We've had some proposals to come in. The numbers were that to retrofit were too high for our liking. And we think we're going to be able to apply for some grants to be able to get those numbers down in terms of infrastructure. Well, we can't ask someone to come and lease a building that doesn't have air conditioning, plumbing, etc. Well, if you say for one building, it may cost several $100,000 to retrofit the entire thing, then that's something we got to think about because we probably go build another structure for that amount. So,
or just go rent someplace.
Yes, right. And so that's where we are with that. However, you're talking about commercial space that can sometimes produce. Some restaurants do over $1 million a year net. So it's about the density. If we can get the density downtown, now that appraisal for that area to put a restaurant there is better, the market conditions are better. the risk is lower. And so there might be less things we have to do in that space because we now create a market that invites that. So it's all about creating that density. However, and so that's just for the restaurant, we ran into that. But we are currently in talks to build out a retail store, bring a retail downtown. But still, we face that issue. And some of that will be predicated on if we can get those things going in the same direction. So in the next, say, 60 days, we should know something on both of those.
Okay.
But, I'm of the mindset that even if we don't have the apartments there, we must still establish retail and move forward because it's not as risky as the restaurant business.
Right. Speaking of restaurant, we last week we had a 9-year restaurateur call it quits, and I know he was that sent some ripples through the community because he was well known and liked. Why would he was established on Main Street, been there for 9 years? Why would somebody else want to come in to Main Street and put up that kind of capital, take that kind of risk if somebody like this can't make it? And he faulted several entities.
Yeah, including Obama.
Yeah.
That is a great question. And also a question I asked, well, if you're trying to sell the building, why would you say all those things? But, it was unfortunate. I hadn't had I know Mr. Alexander, I hadn't had a conversation with him. And so I don't know, what he's thinking in that regard of something we could have done better to help him. I would like that opportunity. And I'll share some things in the past with him in regard to what we were doing. But again, something, happened where he felt the need to do that. And so, but to answer your question, that goes back to us improving the market conditions. Right now that density isn't there with that multifamily housing in terms of restaurant. And that's something that whenever he and I would talk, I say, we're really working on this housing deal, and that's going to really help. Me being someone who frequent that restaurant, I know that COVID hurt in terms of workforce.
Sure.
I know he had some challenges there, but what I will say is always an opportunity for him to come back and open up again if that market, once we improve the market conditions. So we'll go with it.
Two questions to wrap this up, and they're related. One is, will this thing sunsets when?
2024.
2024 at the end of the year, or
I think it's September.
Okay.
2024.
Will there be an effort to re-up this for another period?
Yes, it's necessary to re-up it again if we really want to see some transformation. And I say that because in this first round, we're going to build the 6th Avenue main deal. We're going to the housing, all of that, hopefully the hotel, etc. So all that will take place, but we had to use the money to acquire in this first phase, which that's not saying it won't happen in the second, but we had to do some of that. We also had to correct long-standing issues in the community, like the Merrill Center. 1.2 million. That had to be addressed. We can't go building all this stuff downtown. You have your community center in that shape. And so the fact that we had to address and do some baseline things has took capital away from construction projects. And so we want to continue to see things that we've done, and I hope they still have confidence in Go Forward Pine Bluff, which we did an actual survey, and it was very well received. Like 80% of those who were informed were still supportive and enjoyed the work the progress they've seen. So yes, we will ask the citizens. Well, I take that back. The board has not decided that, so that's not true. But the board is contemplating whether or not we will go for.
And when would you have to, if it sunsets in 2024, when would you have to take that to voters?
Probably in June of 2024.
Okay.
Yeah, somewhere in 2024. Unless, if you did not want a stoppage in your funding, then you have to do it before then. But, by everything that we see that's going on in terms of further development and the citizens understanding how we're leveraging these infrastructure investments to bring in private, and that it's open for anybody. You know, if you have the capital to be able to partner with the city or with this project, we want to work with you. We're not going to do it all ourselves. We can't. We don't have enough money.
Okay, and the last question, will you write this new proposal?
Mm-hmm.
Would you consider writing the proposal for another 7 years? Would you write it in such a way that you are not at the whim of
Council.
4 council members or 6 to override a mayor?
You know, that's something to think about, and it has been discussed before. The reason why we don't want, it may be easy. We want full control and just do what we would like to do or what you told the citizens. However, the handshake agreement, I think you referred to it in the article, the handshake agreement that we have with the council allows us to collaborate and have a thought council around some of these issues and challenges as they evolve. And I think we need that. I've told individuals before, man, what a refreshing and a more objective climate we would have. We could walk into the council and say, this is the issue that we have. This is the proposal we think approach we want to take to addressing it. Do you approve? If not, give us something to enhance this approach. And I would say we've gotten that a few times with Council Members Brown Jr., Councilmember Alexander, Councilmember Holcomb, and Councilman Lockett has been on the fence sometimes when he's not trying to have something else going on, but he has been helpful in some items like that as well with the generator, particularly because he sees the value in that. So if we had that opportunity to come into a room and do that, wow, we really could get some things done. Instead, we're having to come in with this issue, with our proposal, and defend our proposal just off the merit of the fact that we put a proposal in place. It's kind of like you shouldn't have put a proposal in place. So that's what we hope to be able to build in collaboration as we move forward. Just people thinking about it and going from there.
Okay. Well, that's all the questions I got. Would you like to, you want to take us out?
Yeah. Well, I just want to tell everybody that we hope you will continue to call us if you have any questions. We meet with everybody that wants to know. We take time out to do that, to explain the process. No, we cannot wave a magic wand and go throughout Pine Bluff and fix everything at one time. But we are working hard. And as I said, there are people who get up and bust their butts working 65 hours a week, trying to make a difference in this community. And Go Forward Pine Bluff is not just the internal administration. It is a movement of people across the community saying that we are going to move our city forward.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for watching this. We'll have more of these in the future, but thank you, Mr. Watley, for being our first one.
Yes.